Welcome back to Breaking Through. Thank you so much for joining us one more time in this special episode that we have been preparing for everyone. Janice, welcome. How are you?
I'm very good.
You look like a sunshine.
Yes.
She's always smiling. I didn't say anything, but I said welcome, Janice.
It's the white. Yeah.
Aww. It's so nice to see you again, Janice.
But I'm very happy to be with you, my friend. You know, it's lovely to be close to people that you feel the love, right?
Yes.
But I also feel more love.
Ooh.
Because we have a special guest
Yes.
that was with us recently.
Yes.
And is with us again. And we are so happy to have Monica Barrett back with us.
Thank you so much for having
Yes.
me again. Thank you.
Yes. It's a pleasure to have her with us. And we're going to talk about something very interesting.
That's right.
All
We
right.
will keep talking about something interesting. Because you came back the last episode and you talk about the use of all these substances.
Yes.
And we thought it was very important for us to extend the topic and keep talking about the effects of the addictions or the abuse.
Right.
So I don't know if we want to go into the topic or you want to introduce yourself, Monica, for those that are probably just seeing this program for the first time.
Yeah,
Who is
that's
Monica?
right.
Just tell us a little bit
Well,
about
Monica is a psychotherapist. I've been in this field for over 17 years, and I'm currently working with Prince William County in the substance abuse program. So that's pretty much where I'm at right now.
you. Yes, yes.
And again, where are you from?
Oh, of course.
I like that part.
Of course. Those two. I grew up in Austria, and I'm German, but that's my first language, and I came to the United States quite some time ago, and I had to go all the way from the bottom and get my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, and subsequently my doctorate degree in behavioral health. And it has helped me a lot to treat my clients a little bit better. So thank you again for inviting me.
Yes. We are so honored to have you here with us, and I know you have so much to share with us about this specific topic.
Yes.
Oh my God, substance. I know we learned in the last topic that we do not say substance abuse no more, but the
Substance use,
It's
according
the
to the
substance.
DSM-5.
yes, the substance
So that's
use.
the correct way.
Yes.
In file.
Yes.
Yes.
And today
Wow.
we're going to talk about the effects of that substance use.
Yes.
So what would be some of the things that happen in the brain, in the body of a human or a person, a teenager, or even an adult? What happens in their body when they're using these substances?
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned in the last series, that the youths are definitely affected with their brains because, especially if they're not developed yet.
Yes.
Fully developed, i.e. meaning for males up to age 27 and for females up to age 23, 24, depending on the individual. So it will cloud their intellect somewhat. The neurons won't fire as much. They will be stunted. The growth is stunted. They won't be as cognizant. Doesn't mean that the individual is not intelligent. But they're stunting their emotional and analytical responses by being, under the use of substances, of course. I think we all have had maybe a little drink here or there. I personally don't drink, but maybe once a year, and just that little bitty of a drink. Now I can only talk for myself. I stop being giggly, I can't focus anymore. So can you only imagine if somebody drinks a fifth of vodka?
Yeah.
What it does
to your brain.
Yeah, and it not only to the brain, but also to the entire body. But I'll let you ask your questions first. Go ahead.
Yeah. Because I know, people think that it doesn't affect them, especially teenagers. They're like on their best times, like, oh yeah, we're gonna try all these things out. They get drunk all the time, and they think it will never affect them. But in the long run, it doesn't only affect them in the cognitive development. But what about when they get married and they're ready to have family.
Right.
That's why we see a lot of birth defects in children.
Right.
So can you talk a little bit about that, because it stays in your system?
Yes.
Right, the substance.
Yes. I think I want to start with just smoking cigarettes.
Okay. Let's start from the bottom.
From the bottom, yeah.
From the bottom.
But basic, supposedly okay.
Like the legal stuff that you said.
Well, smoking cigarettes, nicotine is also a drug.
Yeah.
But I want you to think about the birth rate, because earlier, before we started here today, we talked about birth, if there are premature children, or children that are born and they show effects of what the mother consumed as she was, pregnant. Just smoking can affect the little baby so much in the womb. So it could be prematurely born.
That's right,
It could have the shakes. It's the same if the mother chooses to do drugs, and I have seen moms actually doing crystal meth while they're pregnant, or smoking marijuana while they're pregnant. And their addiction is so strong, because we call it a brain disease, that they just can't stop. They have to have it in order to
function
to continue what they're doing, and it's such a selfish disease that they don't even think about the baby, or the fetus, what's going on with the baby to be born. So it can have premature birth rate. It can have deformities. The brain may not be fully developed. I actually worked with an sorry, I can't think of it right now. The child was the product of a mom that drank too much alcohol.
Okay.
And it had all the classical signs of deformities, and the brain was not functional. She couldn't void, like going to the bathroom as anybody else in the classroom, that she did whenever. Her brain just couldn't recognize alcohol syndrome. So thank you. It just came back to me. And it's just devastating when you see the effects in the little children, what it causes when the mother, of course, uses. And on the side, I wanted to also say that guys, I just want you to hear that smoking marijuana will lower your sperm. It will also affect the fertility of the female. So if you guys are newly married, or you are trying for a little baby, gotta stop smoking that weed.
Yeah, and that's good that you're talking about, because we're talking about people are together or planning to have a baby, but it really starts, the addiction starts before.
Correct.
And the thing is that it keeps following.
Right.
And then when they want to get together, sometimes they're doing it even together, the drugs, right? The addiction.
Yeah.
And then when they cannot stop, and then when they want to have a family, which I have seen babies, being born and the effects after birth, it's very hard to see a baby withdrawing.
Right.
Yes.
And they don't understand the effect. So they should stop before.
Absolutely.
Better if they never do it, but
absolutely
stop before.
Yeah.
And get the help.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's the thing that as humans, we will go back to the teenagers. They think, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna do it for now. It's just for fun. It's recreational. But that recreational gets into an addiction.
Right.
Because that's how it is. I mean, drugs or anything, like we said at the beginning, it could be anything. It could be, the alcohol, the weed, the medications, anything could be addicted to us. But in the long run, it will affect you because it's hard to let it go. It's hard to stop doing those drugs. And then when you really want to have that family, it affects, like you said, it will affect for the wife to get pregnant, or even if they do have a family. There is a lot of kids, and I know kids that the father used marijuana, and when he had his kids, all of his kids had problems with learning disabilities because of the effects, because it stays in your system. And that's the one thing that sometimes people don't understand. Oh no, it will go away. It's just, I'm just going to do it for right now. But it stays in your system.
Right.
and it will affect your future. It's not just right now, but your future.
Another thing that I can bring that she was saying is that in my case, thank God I have been okay, no drugs or anything, but both of my parents used to smoke.
Right.
They were bad smokers. So, and I was always by their side since little, and I was the one that was more home. I was the one that was always around the cigarette, the second-hand
smoke.
And until today, there's something that I'm going on, and I wonder if that affected me when I was little, because I have asthma and I have a lot problems with health-wise with the lungs, with my lungs, and sometimes I wonder, was it all that exposure that I had?
Could have been.
Because I was with them all the time.
Right.
And that's the things that people don't understand, the effects they can bring to their children.
Yeah.
Because they have to be there.
Right.
And they're taking it all in. And so I want to talk a little bit about health problems.
Right.
Of people that do any type of drugs, smoke, marijuana, alcohol, even home medications. What are the health problems that people can be facing?
There's a smorgasbord.
I know. Maybe some of them.
Help us, Monica.
Guide us.
Well, I want you to think about alcohol, for instance. When people take away the alcohol, when they are in recovery and they're no longer drinking the alcohol, all of a sudden they're starting to eat sweets. So remember, there's a lot of sweets within the alcohol.
That's
there's
right.
sugar.
That's
okay?
right.
So there are
sugar.
parallels with diabetes and alcohol, high blood pressure, cholesterol, all of the above. But the biggest one that usually concerns me are seizures.
Okay.
So, and we're not even talking about when you're already genetically predisposed with seizures. And it's typically seen with alcohol. If somebody withdraws too fast, let's say they stop drinking from one day to another and they've been very heavily drinkers, your brain may react to that.
Yes.
So we usually want them to taper off slowly in order, or under medical observation, of course, But seizures, it could start seizures, and that's a big one because you can be paralyzed, you can actually die, you can be in a coma, so that's very concerning. Kidney problems are a big one. Problems with the pancreas. I had several clients, they had their pancreas removed. Hepatitis C is one of the effects as well. If you're not getting taken care of, you see the jaundice skin, meaning the yellowish skin. So and then also don't forget, usually when people use the heavier drugs, sexual activities, you can end up with HIV. If the HIV is not being treated, that can be turned into full-blown AIDS. So, protection is the key when you're a drug user because they really don't care as long as they get their drugs. And then also think about the nasal cavity. Cocaine users, they can their septum can actually
deform.
I forget what you call it, but you can actually have a big hole in your septum, so your sinuses are going to be affected by that. Other things could affect your endocrine system. That means your internal system, like I said, with diabetes, your hormones, your hair loss. I mean, there's so many things that can happen. Your immune system can be compromised. So that's just
there's a lot of health problems and substance abuse.
If it's not already genetically predisposed on top of that.
Because
what about some of the behavioral things that happen in the use of these substances? Because there is not only the health problem or problems in the brain or the birth effects, but also behavioral. Does that affect your behavior too, or it doesn't have a big component?
Well, like we discussed in the last segment, sometimes if somebody is predisposed mental health issues, through genetics, then paranoia could be one. And some of the behavior is mirrored by the substance use. So if you think somebody appears to be schizophrenic, let's first find out what kind of drugs is this person actually using.
Yes.
because that could really mirror the effects or the symptoms of some of the mental health disorders. And we had some clients, once they stopped using those psychedelic drugs, then all of a sudden they didn't have paranoia or hallucinations. So it's very important to also speak to a physician or a psychiatrist
about that.
And especially when it's something so deep like that. I imagine that also they have behavior problems like explosive anger or
that can happen.
Things with suicidal kind of thing.
Suicidal thoughts.
And because I can tell that if somebody's really addicted to it can throw them off to not be the person they were.
Correct. Absolutely.
And be a different person.
Absolutely.
The loss of control too. They can lose their control of life, their control of themselves, and they can get stuck in the abuse of all these substances and not be able to function.
Right. And also, have you seen people like that have been going through this where they lost their job?
Absolutely.
They
their family.
Yeah. And it's because they forget the time they and I'm glad you mentioned something about suicide, because if it's with alcohol is a depressant. And typically, if you're already depressed and you're drinking alcohol,
that's good you mentioned that.
You become even more depressed, and then you lose your job. It's a domino effect. If it affects your husband or your wife will leave you. I mean, it's just a domino. Yes.
Or your children.
Your children may be taken away from you, from social services. So it is so important for anybody who's listening and who's affected by that they are reaching out for help. Because you can't do it alone.
That's right. There is a lot of help.
Yes.
All right. What about, is there any injuries?
Injuries
that
go with that. Absolutely.
What happens when people
are using
all
these addictions?
There's a smorgasbord of that one as well. Fall risk is a big one.
Fall
risk. Of course, you will not be as attentive if you go into traffic or driving.
Yes.
And that's why we see so many people that are being referred by their probation officers.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
DUI and DWIs.
Yes.
That is personally my biggest fear.
I have never heard that.
Right. But it's the truth.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
And right now we're laughing about it, but I'm sure that there is people that have been not only injured themselves, but they have injured other, or killed somebody because they're under the influence of anything, of any substance, and they're not. Of course, they're not responsible. They drive like that, and when you're under the influence. I mean, I have never been under the influence of stuff like that, but I would think that you can't really focus. You lose control of yourself. You lose control of everything. And if you kill someone, I mean, that. Can you imagine the shame and the guilt that you end up with? I mean, one injury could be one thing, but killing someone, that's another huge thing, and it happens when it comes to addictions. So people really need to be aware that this is not a game. This is not I'm just going to do it for fun right now. I'm going to wait until I get married, then I'll stop doing this. No, stop now. Put your life into a good foundation where you're free of all these substances, and then you build a good home, and don't wait until you get married to change your life.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, because you just reminded me, it doesn't have any limitations. It affects alcohol and drugs affect not just somebody,
the individual.
It depends who you are. It doesn't matter. It can affect a CEO of a company. It can affect
a movie star,
a construction worker, a housewife. I've had so many housewives that have seen. I have seen nurses. They have to go through their nursing board in order to get their licensure back. Even physicians. I've had dentists that were on a limited. So it touches everybody. Yeah.
So what advice can you give people that are like battling with any addiction for them to stay away from it?
To say no more.
Or say no more. Yes.
Say no more.
What can they do? What can you advise our audience, that are going through something like that? Because it's not easy.
Right.
And and we want to bring hope, and there's always a solution. God always helps us. So what advice can you give?
Well, I really like the idea of spirituality. Actually, evidence-based research tells us if you have some kind of a spiritual belonging, and it's not necessarily being Christianity, any spirituality, that your success rate will be much higher than not having anything that you believe in.
Well,
that's one component. Again, like we said in the last segment, or we discussed it in the last segment, reaching out to counselors, going to AA, NA. They have sponsorship. Sponsorship just means that someone will hold you kind of sort of responsible.
Yeah.
They will guide you through the 12 steps. If you don't like that, you can still have a sponsor, and call them at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're triggered by your addiction. And by the way, food addiction is also another addiction.
Oh yeah.
We don't want to hear that.
Really? Okay.
Let's say it then again, right?
Yes.
Food is also
An addiction.
Yes. And yes, you may need help.
Yes, you do need help.
Which means anorexia, bulimia, and also binge eating. Okay, binge eating. I think that pertains to many of us normal human beings.
Yes,
in the middle of the night, you need that ice cream or that cake. But yeah.
Oh Lord.
But that's another topic, right?
Right, that's another topic.
You are going to come back and talk to us about. Oh my God!
Yes.
And it's awesome, Monica. We have covered so many areas of how it affects. But one of the things that I think we have not covered, and maybe I don't know, maybe we can extend it to some other time. But is the legal consequences?
Oh boy.
The legal consequences.
Yes.
You get caught, you get a ticket, the court, and you're involved in all these things. There's fees, there's money,
right?
So we don't see the legal consequences.
Prison sometimes.
Yes, prison, exactly.
Yes,
prison, jail time. We see people that are on their first offense of doing stuff like this.
Ankle monitors. They have ankle monitors for alcohol. They can detect alcohol just like that. Yeah. So
there is a lot of other stuff. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And that will be another episode. Oh my God. But thank you so much, Monica, for coming again and sharing all your knowledge. Oh my God. Not all, but because you have more. That's We hope you can come again and talk to us about this. I think this is very important, especially in our Christian society, culture.
Yeah.
We think these things don't happen.
Exactly.
And I see it, I see clients coming, they're Christian, they don't want to say they're Christian,
Right.
they feel ashamed, especially when they come with their teenagers, with their kids. And we want to say, don't be ashamed.
Yes.
Don't worry about it. Seek help for you or for your family, for whoever is going through this. There is resources that are out there to assist you, to help you. And, if you send us an email too and you're looking for assistance, maybe you're not in Virginia, because we are in Virginia, and you tell us where you're from and what kind of assistance you need, we can try to send you all of those resources that you need so you can overcome all of those addictions. Yes, because we're here to help. That's basically what Breaking Through is. It's about sharing the stories, giving you information so you can be better each day and in every area, not just as Christians inside the church, but outside. And this is a thing that is affecting families all over. Like you said, it doesn't matter if you're a doctor, a CEO of a company, a nurse, anybody, even pastors, preachers that are probably dealing with this. People inside church that they probably go to church on a Sunday, but then Monday they have that addiction where they're drinking, or it could be other addiction like pornography.
Pornography is just constantly rising.
Other things that are affecting our culture, and we are just sending awareness. This is like an awareness. we have to be on the look for it.
I like what you said, Ingrid, and do not be ashamed.
Yes.
We all struggle with something, and we all need a helping hand.
Yes.
That's why in the Word of God says, help one another.
Yes.
Because we all need each other.
That's right.
To be a better person.
That's right.
So don't feel ashamed. Seek for help. Get in contact with us if you need some support, and we can guide you through the best way and get help.
That's right.
Today.
That's very important.
That's help today.
So Monica, closing words, remarks, what can you say?
Do not be afraid.
Yes, there you go. Do not be afraid.
Do not be afraid.
Do not be afraid.
You heard that. Do not be afraid.
That's right.
So we will see you next and Breaking Through.
Yes.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.